Well, James Smith is an emergency doctor. He was in Gaza for 7.5 weeks and worked at various locations. He joins us now from London. Thanks very much for being with us. So let me ask you, first of all, about this polio vaccine program that is being instituted. How critical is that to get that done? And what are the challenges of doing it in a place like Gaza, given the situation that it's in right now?
So there are a couple of dimensions here. The first is that it is critically important that children are fully immunized against vaccine preventable diseases. That's the same in Gaza as it is anywhere in the world. Gaza, prior to October of 2023, had very, very high rates of vaccination coverage among children. The crisis that we're now seeing of the spread of vaccine preventable diseases, including polio, which has re-emerged after more than 2 decades in Gaza, is an entirely manufactured situation. And manufactured because access to essential health services and other essential forms of assistance has been systematically denied and deprived from the Palestinian people since October of last year. It's incredibly difficult under the current circumstances to organize and implement a vaccination campaign of this magnitude, given the level of insecurity, given the fact that Israel's violence continues effectively unabated.
And we mentioned there that you had been in Gaza for several weeks, working at various places in the territory. Tell us about that, how long ago that was, and the conditions that you had to work under.
I was last in Gaza in June of this year. The situation has only deteriorated since my departure. The last hospital I was working at was the Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah, which again has been subjected to another Israeli airstrike in recent days. The tents that were hit in that area, I remember that courtyard vividly. Thousands of people were trying to seek some shelter, some sanctuary within the hospital compound. Families, children, journalists, healthcare workers. Incredibly crowded conditions. Every day that we were working in the hospital, we were seeing hundreds of patients, many of whom were presenting with some of the most horrific traumatic injuries that I have ever seen.
And before we came to you, we mentioned this report that the US is applying more pressure to Israel now to improve the humanitarian situation there, or it will threaten to cut some of its military aid. Presumably, given what you've been saying there about the conditions, this can't come soon enough.
Well, quite, but this is an absurd situation for several reasons. The first question to ask, of course, is why 30 days? That's an arbitrary and completely absurd time frame. We know that there has not been a single day since the 7th of October 2023 that the minimum of 500 trucks of humanitarian assistance have entered into Gaza. That's the number of trucks that were entering into Gaza prior to October of 2023. This is a situation in which, as I mentioned, Israel has systematically denied the Palestinian people living in Gaza the most basic necessities required to sustain human life. The US government, we know, is subject to the same international legal obligations as any other state. They will be well aware, of course, of the provisional measures imposed by the ICJ, and they will be well aware of their risk and the very fact, in fact, that they are complicit in this genocide. More than $17 billion of military assistance committed from the US government to Israel since October of last year, to continue providing that military support, but a little bit of humanitarian assistance on the side is perverse, frankly, and doesn't come anywhere near what the Palestinian people in Gaza and throughout occupied Palestine need right now, which is, of course, an immediate and sustained end not only to Israel's current violence, but the ongoing occupation of occupied Palestine.
Good to talk to you. Dr. James Smith joining us there from London.